That Writer Guy.
That Writer Guy.
That Writer Guy. Podcast with Lyman Rate.
Hello and welcome back to That Writer Guy podcast. I am your host, Lyman Rate, and today I talk about something that I do personally and thought I would share some insight. I am going to talk about how I can write as many words as I do on a daily basis. For me, writing is something that I enjoy, something that allows me to be creative in a way that isn't intrusive on others. Writing has been therapeutic for me as I can release myself to my imagination and dive into worlds that are not real. I write fantasy and military fiction, but my primary focus the last few years has been strictly on fantasy writing. I try to write every day. I try to make a mental note of doing this, and I have a whiteboard with various different things on it that I must accomplish each day. When I do, I mark it off and move to the next. It allows me to see what I have done, and it feels good. If you have a structured way of doing things, I'd love to know about them. Send me comments or messages or anything on my Facebook page, That Writer Guy Podcast. You never know where your way might help someone else. But for me, the whiteboard helps me a ton. Now on to the writing stuff. Depending on the day, I can either feel that I can write for half an hour or an hour. I have built this into my daily routine, but not both. I either write 1/2 hour or 1 hour, and that is it. But let's just say I have one of those rare days where I can devote more time and get my writing to be my primary focus. How do I do it? How do I write all the words I can in one day? An average day for me is writing between 1,000 and 2,000 words. I have had days, however, that have ended up with less than that and in way more than that. My personal best day was just around 14,000 words, and that was the day I was able to devote over 12 hours straight to writing. I'm going to give you some tips on how I can maximize my ability to not only write as many words as I can, but not wake up the next day with writer's hangover. One thing I mentioned in the past was dedicated writing space. I have a dedicated writing programming and podcasting space in my home, and while it's not the biggest office ever, measuring at a fun 8 foot by 11 foot long, it's my personal space. I can go in there, turn on the fan or the wall air conditioning unit in the summer, and sit down and go from there. But just because I have an office to work with doesn't mean that if you don't have one, you can't have a writing space. Any place you set your computer up or your paper and pen can be your designated writing space. It doesn't have to be fancy. As long as you are capable of writing where you are, that's what matters. When I'm in my office, I bring up my project or whatever I'm writing on, and I take the time to read back 3 pages. Why 3 pages? Because I can get a better feeling for what I'm doing, what the characters are going through, their feelings or emotions, and what is happening in what context, better than if I just jump right in, read the paragraph before where I'm starting, and start writing. I need to mentally know and insert myself into the story to write it better. Now, I'm a pantser and not much of an outline person, so I don't have a lot of notes or things to guide me while I write, but I am fortunate enough to have a photographic memory which has helped me bring myself into the story faster. Another thing that I like to do is to write to music. Generally, I like music soundtracks and scores, and I have them at my beck and call when I write. Depending on the scene, I have music to fit. Action scenes have something with a super upper bass tempo and a more dramatic sound. If the scene is one that will be doing that is more soft and serene, I might throw some classical music on or something Celtic or ambient. What I don't do is change the music as soon as the scene changes, or I'd be spending equal time or more time changing music than I am writing. I also take short breaks. I'll write for 30 minutes at a time if I'm doing a long writing stretch. By taking a break, it allows me to release myself from the world and the writing briefly. I usually stand up, stretch, maybe leave my office and go take the dog outside for a moment or do something else. Then I come back and get back to my writing. However, I have also found that I can get into a groove and the story and the words are really flowing well for me. If that happens, I don't stop. I just push on through. The longest I've ever gone without stopping was just over 3 hours. In that period of time, I shut everything else out, ignored my phone, anything else going on around me, and listened to my characters in the story and got the words out as fast as they would let me. I wrote over 7,000 words in that 3-hour period. Being focused is one thing that I can say has been a strong point with my writing. I let my wife know that I'm going to write for a bit, and she'll let me focus on that and not interrupt me unless it's important. Having a partner, if you have one, that is supportive is something I hope everyone has or can find. But if you find yourself single without one, you can support yourself by devoting a focused amount of time on your writing and your stories. The final thing that I'd like to go do is reward myself. Writing can be tiring, and depending on the scene or wherever you are in your story or project, gruesome and ugly, especially war scenes, death scenes, or heavy action scenes. Even slow scenes can tire a person out, but I tell myself that I can get through it and I can make it to the next scene and then take a breather and pause. Maybe my reward is a cup of coffee or a mini chocolate candy or something. Then I allow myself to get back in and start writing again. I treat writing as a job when it matters and counts. I know it's a hobby and it can be turned into something more than that, but right now I have a regular full-time job, and writing books, this podcast, and other things that I do are a hobby. But I still treat them like they are a job because it's all about the mindset. You have to be willing to change your attitude about being a writer, writing, and creating the worlds and characters you create if you want to succeed. Now, for some questions that I generally will get when I tell people that I write for hours at a time, yes, I do take bathroom and food breaks. No, I am not a robot, and yes, I get tired. No, I don't get burnout from doing a long writing session, and this is my last point for this episode. The reason I don't get burnout from a long writing session and find myself not able to write the next day is because I take those breaks. I treat this like a job, and I allow myself to take the time after the writing session to detox from the writing brain, as I like to call it. Writers are creative, but we also have a heavily wired and highly active imagination. I have to mentally shut myself down when I finish a long writing session and basically block out my characters and my stories. If I don't, my ideas and thoughts and everything will continue on well past when I stop writing and can result in a headache or burnout. I have had it happen and won't say that I haven't. I have woke up the next day, and when I wanted to try to write something, there just wasn't anything there. I was too tired mentally and emotionally drained from writing, so I didn't write that day, and it felt weird. To combat this, I will stop writing when I stop writing, but I don't leave my office. I will save my work and either minimize it or close it down entirely. Then I switch to calming music or of some kind, and I stare at empty screens. No work, no projects, no writing, nothing but the desktop on my dual screens. I do this for at least 15 minutes. I allow myself to detox and the writing ideas and things to gradually decrease. Then I meditate. I have a 10-minute meditation saved on my computer for this exact purpose, and it's to calm the mind and nerves. It helps me to come back to a normal place, and then I leave my office. Now, my techniques may not work for you, so I strongly encourage each of you to experiment and find ways to help you reach your full potential with your writing and your writing sessions. You might not be able to write 14,000 words in a single day, or not even 5,000. Or you might find yourself able to surpass and hit more than 14,000 words in one day. Whatever you do, regardless of how many words it is, make sure that you are willing to accept that not all the words you write in that one session or that one day will make it into the book when you get to the editing stages. But other than that, enjoy the writing process. And that is all the time I have on the subject today, and I do hope you have found this helpful and informative. If you do, I would love to have you find me on Facebook, That Writer Guy Podcast. Give me a like and a follow. And if you want to, you can leave me a comment. You can send me a message. If you have ideas or just want to talk to me, I'd be more than happy to hear from you and reply in kind. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode here. And until then, keep the ideas going, the words flowing, and happy writing.